Well, let's talk about our mutual friends, Jim and Duval. When you're dealing with characters who are so like these shadowy government types, they only offer so much to the audience. How did you want to find the characters with that beneath that facade?
There's always a full person behind a facade, and the facade is just a facade. Obviously, without spoiling, we do kind of discover what is behind their motives. And in some ways, as the show progresses, but I think that was also part of the fun, is just to play these characters which are perceived as somehow ambiguous slightly,
Yeah, I think a bit like the ambiguity will reveal itself later to be like taken care of. That like it's just the way the storytelling is rolled out. All will be revealed.
With that in mind, I mean, when we first see you guys like in Tokyo, you guys really hit the ground running. Like, how was it kind of like maintaining that pace for, so much of this kind of band on the run story that the series is?
Yeah, I like these questions are always like a little difficult because like there's only 4 episodes released and we don't want to give away too much. But it was like, as an actor, it's really fun to like get to like do scenes where, the meaning has to sometimes be doubled, because sometimes what looks good is going to be bad. And sometimes what looks ostensibly bad turns out to be like a good motive, maybe just clumsily done or something to that effect. And, so like, it's a lot of fun to like, try to like calibrate how like malevolent you want to look or something like that, without trying. You don't want to trick people. We don't want people to go back and watch it and be like, it's just a red herring or something like that. But to be able to find and calibrate it in a way that when you go back and watch it a second time, that something might seem, oh, this is what that means. And so, yeah, like, again, as the season progresses, I think a lot of this stuff will start to like reveal.
Yeah. Elisa, I love your performance as Duval, because you almost play it like a Terminator, right? You're so laser focused in like every single scene. Like, how is it like maintaining that intensity in this show?
I mean, from where we're standing, we're just acting and we're creating this real person. I think the Terminator is also like how you're filmed, and it's also how the camera is kind of angled, and it's a mix of all these things. It's performance, but also visuals. I thought what was interesting as well with Tim is that they had to have contrasting energies, and I read Joe's interpretation of Tim as like a more bubbly kind of energy. And I also thought if Duval had the total opposite to that, it's in the writing, of course, to a certain extent, but it's, I thought this woman had to be like, I thought she had to be super sharp. I didn't think of her as a Terminator, but
ironically, Tim is a robot.
So
from the future. I mean, I guess I'm just going to go ahead and spoil it, but like,
there's your Mechagodzilla tease.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, okay. Well, let's talk about the writing. Was there a specific line of dialogue in the script or in the character description that you kind of attached yourself to? It's like, I know who Tim is. I know who Duval is. Like, was there anything that really stood out?
We were just talking about this, that, for Elisa, like it was like the jacket and the hands in the pocket. And then for Tim, it was like, there's a line about having like soup on his shirt and in the basement. And like, so those are, I'm sorry to like take your thing, but those, that's incredibly helpful. I think, immediately who that guy is, and then you just build from there. Like that's the foundation. And then, you get to just filter through. I just like, to me, Tim is somebody who doesn't have great social skills. So it's a lot of fun to like take these really incredibly well-written scenes and like, sort of like, how do you like tweak it a little bit to make it kind of uncomfortable, but at the same time, like, again, it's this question of like people's agendas and stuff like that. So Yeah, it's just like it's a lot of fun, and it's like a puzzle.
Yeah, it's just those small character descriptions that were written that we saw in the script that, it just makes you sort of, again, testament to how well written those scripts were as well. For us to kind of dive and create these characters.
Let's go abstract for a second. I mean, next year.
All right, man, let's do it.
Free form association. But next year is the 70th anniversary of Godzilla, and he's the King of Monsters having quite the year with, the show and -1 and everything. What is it about Godzilla that makes you think he endures for 7 decades now?
I think, it's, first of all, it's a complex character that kind of can be an allegory for a lot of things at different times. And every time he shows up, it's a massive event. It's such a big thing. It's like, is he going to be there? Is he not going to be there? And just sort of work with building up to that anticipation is kind of a thing that can just, that you can keep using forever and ever because it just works every time. You're just waiting for him to show his face. And I think that's almost, something that you can keep creating around for a very long time.
Yeah, I think because Godzilla's character is complicated. Like what his sort of duty or depending on sort of what decade you're looking at, I think like him being a stand-in for something else, and not a story about just a monster just senselessly destroying things, but that to this point of allegory that there is a deeper message, and so you get the carnage and disaster stuff, but it is asking you to think about deeper things, and I think when you get to do both of those things, I think that's the enduring legacy.
And that is my time. Catch Monarch, Legacy of Monsters on Apple TV+. This is Sam Stone with CBR. Guys, thanks for taking the time.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolute pleasure, man. Go Caps.